greater inhumanity in the world than hurting or belittling a child? From childinsider.com. Once again, good afternoon and welcome to the program Wounds of the Heart, where we are here to heal any form of wounds that have been caused by behavioral actions, psychological issues, or mental ailment. And here on this platform, we bring out experts to come and help us find solutions to what we have been going through and what it's eating us up as human. Today, I've been joined by a beautiful lady. Last year, she was with me. This year, too, she has started. And very soon, we're going to mention her and you're going to see her. But just in a way to thank you, my viewers, for all the time waiting for another episode, waiting for another topic for us to also discuss so far as Wounds of the Heart is concerned. And you know, I've been your host, Pastor Daniel. Today, I'm speaking with you once again, coming to your airwaves and on your phones and stuff like that. So today, in case you are not home and you have someone at home or somebody outside, please tell the person that we are live on Hope TVGH, Facebook and Hope, YouTube channels, Hope TVGH. One thing we ask from you is to subscribe, press on the like button and subscribe, and share the link to others so that at least people also would understand and get the solutions and issues that they are going through. If in case you want to join this conversation, our WhatsApp platforms are 0559 680066, 0559 680066, or you can just tap something on our Facebook page, Hope TVGH Facebook page, and we'll have time to read them for you. I want to also use this platform to appreciate Alpha Art and Afri Studios for making sure that this program has come to reality. Thank them so much. And they are into media. Alpha Art is into graphic design. Afri Studios is into videoing, recording, and editing. So in case you need any of their services, you can go on Facebook or Instagram, Alpha Art or Afri Studios, and you get them. In case you want to sponsor this program, if you also want us to promote your product for you, 0559 535554, 0559 535554, or 0208 491919, 0208 491919. And these contacts are for sponsorship. If you want to sponsor Wounds of the Heart for us to go far, the same contact. If you need help from any of my guests, the same contact, you can call and we'll provide you the help that you need. Thank you so much, and I know that you are just waiting for me to know what today we're going to discuss. But before then, I would like my guest to introduce herself. She has been on it. Probably this is your first time for joining or for watching this program, so I don't want to take the words out from her mouth. I want to give her the privilege for her to introduce herself and tell us what she does for a living, so that you know that we bring experts on this program to help you heal that wounds that have been caused in your heart. My lady, good evening and welcome to the program Wounds of the Heart.
Good evening.
Afishapa.
I think going to
this year we have never met. I know you're fine.
Yes, by God's grace.
For the first time, Miss, please, who am I talking to? I want you to just introduce yourself for them and tell us them what you do so that we can just enter into today's conversation.
Okay, thank you so much, Reverend. My name is Justine Uwu Ejiri.
Okay.
I am a counseling psychologist.
Okay.
I practice in the hospital setting.
Okay.
So my job is to help people with their mental, psychological difficulties to go through life with ease.
With ease.
Because it's part of life and they will definitely come.
So
that's what I do.
That's wonderful. So you heard her. You heard what she does for a living, and I'm sure that I have never mistaken any other person to sit on this seat for us to discuss pertinent issues. But this topic, I would like you to allow parents and guardians and those caretakers to just be informed that Wounds of the Heart, the program has begun. And thank you so much for today. We are discussing child abuse. We started last year. We did part 1, but as for the first time viewers, I want her to take a summary of what child abuse is up to where we ended last year, so that we can continue from there this year. So please, what is abuse in general?
Okay. Or say that abuse is anything that a human being or we do to each other. It even goes a long way to affect animals.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything that is cruel or violent or threatens to harm another person. So here I'm referring to one person doing it against the other person. So any behavior that you put across that threatens to harm. So as a psychologist, I would say that threatens the daily functioning of a
Daily
person.
function, okay.
So how I live my life on daily basis. If your actions are preventing me or making it difficult or harming or is violent or is cruel, it's an abuse.
Okay. That's it's beautiful explanation. Then we bring it back to our topic for today. What is child abuse?
Okay. So here we've narrowed it to children.
Exactly.
So anything an adult is doing or does against a child that threatens to harm the child, that is cruel to the functioning or living of a child, that is violent, that violates the child's rights,
Okay.
is child abuse.
Okay. So if a child misbehaves and there's this hot strokes behind the back and probably there's bruise, is it abuse or where do you put it?
Okay, it's a nice example. The intention wasn't to hurt the child, but the actions, I'll put it as it's over.
Okay.
So it has ended up harming the child.
That one is abuse.
So it tends to become abuse. Your intention wasn't to abuse the child, was to correct. But how you did it has ended up harming the child. So here you're talking about bruises. That's what you've seen. But it's not only the bruises. The child has gone through pain. So it has affected the way the child feels. So apart from having the bruises that would need to be dressed, in there, the child thinks about, is it okay? Why should I go through this? And this tends to become more psychological and emotional. And if care is not taken, this will live with that child throughout his or her entire life.
Parents and guardians, I wanted us to see whether we're correcting our children and after the correction turns out to become something else, whether it's abuse. And she has explained though, but she has explained, and that thing, the bruises, the psychological trauma the child goes through becomes the abuse that she's talking about. So I think that we have ways of correcting a child that probably may not bring bruises or set things on the life of the child. But what are some of the types of abuse that can be formed on a child?
Basically, we have 5 types of abuse.
Okay, one.
The first one is the physical abuse. That is the
example I gave,
beating,
okay.
the example you've given. So the child is physically beaten, and the result is bruises or marks.
Okay.
You see some parents will hit their children that their fingers showed on the skin. That is physical.
Okay.
Then we have the psychological. Then we have the emotional. Then we have the neglect, child neglect.
Child neglect, okay.
Yes. And then we have
What about verbal? Is it?
then we have verbal abuse as well. But you see, this verbal abuse comes in so many dimensions.
Okay.
In our part, I'm hitting on here because some of the things we say it ordinarily. We think we are joking. We think we have to say something to the child to set up. But psychologically, it leaves debris, it leaves injuries,
Whoa.
it leaves wounds in the heart and in the mind of the child. So, you useless child, Ashenenimbi, you think you just said it. But some children, we are different and we receive information and work on it differently. So my dad says Shenenimbi. He thinks it's nothing. But I go out there or in my closet, I question, how does my face look like?
Okay.
Why is my daddy saying Menim?
Okay.
So the child keeps ponder on it and try to find meanings to it. Sometimes you don't see the effect immediately when it comes to the verbal and then emotional and psychological. Sometimes you don't immediately see the effect, but as the person grows and understand life better, they connect to the dots and then try to make sense out of what happened whilst they grow up. That's how child abuse become a very serious canker we need to fight.
That's why the quote says that the greatest inhumanity in the world is to hurt a child or probably belittle that child, and that's the greatest inhumanity. And former President South Africa, Mandela, may his soul rest in perfect peace, says that the future of a nation depends on how we treat the child today. I think that is a deep quote from him. So from what he's saying, whatever we tell our children goes a longer way, whether positive or negative, goes a longer way in the heart, and it's going to affect the child's future. We'll get there though, but I just want us to understand what she's telling us. But so, what may lead to abuse on a child? What may lead to that? What may cause somebody to abuse a child?
We have so many factors. So in summary, I would say that our socialization, how we are brought up. So in Ghana, there are certain things we think it's normal. You saw your parent doing it and you think that's the order of the day. And then an adult always is right. Adults always have power. Adults is supposed to control a child. In so doing, we overdo things. We can have mental health issues with the parent. So because they are mentally not well, they are not even aware of what they're doing. Then we have poverty, almighty poverty. Out of poverty, we take certain decisions that our children suffer from in the long run. For instance, the neglect. I know a man who had triplets and ran away from home. The first child, they were 3, second 3. So he left home because he thinks he cannot take care of them. But the question is, you leaving the woman alone, can she? But it's poverty. And then I'll use inadequate education about some of these topics. So they don't even know that if I don't buy food for my child, I'm abusing the child. Yes, because I don't have money, the child must fast compulsorily. But for how many days? For how long? You get it. So it becomes neglect, abuse.
I don't want us to take so much time in that, because if you really want to enter, we did the child abuse last year. So you go on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, type the psychological effect of child abuse, and you get there. But because you are the first, somebody is watching us for the first time, I'm allowing her to take her time to go through what we did the other time, so that at least we have a fair idea of what we are about doing, so that in case you just join in, you understand that we are talking about effect of child abuse as we did. So with all now, what can we see? What will be the child's behavior if the child is being abused? For instance, the signs and symptoms of a child who is being abused. What should it prompt us that this child is being abused?
I will look at this from 2 angles. We have the abuser's behavior, and then we have the victim's behavior. So you can see certain trends in caregivers, parents, that will give you enough reason to suspect that.
Example?
The way a parent speaks to the child. So you want a 2-year-old to stop doing something. It wouldn't be the same way telling me. But here is the case, a parent will scream such that the child panics. And this has become a norm. Sometimes across your wall, you hear a child being screamed at. Some parents wouldn't want their child to be exhibited be brought out in the limelight. So in the house, the child must be kept in a certain way, especially those with disabilities and deformities. So the child is always kept in a room. Nobody must see that child. The child doesn't even have access to mingle with other children.
So when parent does that, we know that they normally abuse.
They are abusing their child or children.
Okay. This is a clue given to us so that at least we may be able to help those of us who are caregivers for children, those of us who teaches children in churches, those who are living with neighbors that you don't see it well. These are some of the things that I think when we get to understand, let us be mindful, let us be watchful, let us be tactful, so that at least when these things are seen from parents to children or guardians to their words, we understand that no, what this man or woman is doing, then or they abuse that child at home. So let us be mindful. And what again from the victim to
so from the parent and the caregiver side to even the feeding.
Okay.
How we feed the child.
The child, okay.
So a child is still learning. Then a child is eating more than they're supposed to eat. You think you have it and you have to give it. It's an abuse. You overfeed the child or underfeed the child.
So over or under abuse.
Yes. And then even the type of meal you give into the child. So you're feeding a 2-year-old with a brayato and kubi.
Our friends up here.
Once a while, but this is, I remember growing up, there was a couple. They said they don't have money. So during weekends, instead of making good food, going out to work, and then the boy was about a little over a year. You go and they are taking Coke and bread for lunch. Meanwhile, they said they don't have money.
That's what the child is.
And the child will have to. So after taking mashke, as a child, taking mashke is okay. But lunchtime, this is what we have. So Coke and bread. What nutrients is the child getting from that?
So that one is abuse.
It's an abuse because the child doesn't have the power, doesn't have the strength, doesn't have the means to complain or get what will help. But Coke and bread, what nutrients are we giving to the child? So you finally see the child growing up to be malnourished.
Okay.
You see, and these are persons that can be Gary and Nkate, or even Gary and Pepe. Gary itself is not bad food, but how you are doing it. But with the children too, you often see them with bruises. Always they have bruises or sores. They are wearing worn out clothing. It can be a baby, it can be a toddler, it can be a middle childhood age or even late childhood. They are always wearing worn out clothing. They are panicking. They are always scared of something. They become extremely timid. Those who are of school going age, you see them not missing school. Sometimes during school times, they are selling or doing something that they are not supposed to do. An example is a child being employed. So whilst at that age, every child of that age should be in school, that child is doing something to earn money, either for the parent or for someone else. So all these things are signs that things are not going on well at home. It should be of our concern. Like you gave out numbers. If you know a child going through that, just call the numbers.
So before we enter into the second part of what, somebody wrote on our Facebook page that it is always said that a child who has gone through, who has been abused, also grow up to become an abuser. How true is that thing?
Yes, it is. It is. Research shows that people who go through such situations grow up to become one. That's what they know.
That's what they have seen.
That's what they grew up. So that is how life should be. So to them, for me to correct means I have to beat, I have to spank, I have to cane, I have to cause bruises on another person. Means I'm helping the person to change or correct the person. It's not that they will, but that's how they grew up. So that's what they saw happening around them. So that is how life should be.
So if you're a parent and you scream at a child, or you beat a child, or you molest a child, that child is growing to become same thing you are doing, because he's growing up or she's growing up experiencing the fact that that's how you talk to him or her, that's how you correct her.
So that's how they learn.
So he or she also
it's a
grow.
learned behavior.
Because I also had a child in school beating another child, and it's a class 2 or what, class 1 or class 2. So the teacher inquired and was asking. He said, "That's what." But daddy always beat mommy.
Beats mommy, yeah. So that is it.
So Dawson, you asked that question. It is true. A child growing up in an abusive home grows up to become an abuser, because that's what he's. I'm not sure he's doing it intentionally, but
no, it's not intentional. But that's how life is.
Okay.
That's how they define life around them. And again, it becomes a behavior pattern. So sometimes it happens spontaneously without knowing the hand goes. Some scream without even knowing they are screaming. So the teachers will tell you, some children, when they are playing with their age mates, you see their voice on top or bullying others. They are not aware they are screaming, because that is how they speak at home. And some too, for them to make their point, they have to scream, because that's what they learn from parents. You see that parents, you are the first teacher.
Exactly.
Whether you like it or not, you are the first role model. Whatever you do, it's okay to your child. Until the child grows to a certain age and is able to make sense out of life. And if God being so good, the child find Christ, then they can edit. But we have some who grow up having the same attitude, because that's learned behavior. And for them, that is it.
Our children are our future. So my viewers, in case you just joined, we are talking about that we are discussing the part 2 of psychological effect of child abuse. And the question she just answered was a question somebody wrote on our wall the other time, that a child growing up in an abusive home also grows up to become an abuser. And the answer is yes. What you saw your father or your mother do when you were a child, you're repeating same thing, but unintentionally, because that's what you saw growing up, and that is exactly what she has explained to us. Now we are now delving into the part 2, the reason why we are here today. And I want to ask her. What are the effects of a child who has been abused, or a child who is living in an abusive home? Okay. What are the effects?
You remember in my introduction, I said we have 5 types of abuses.
Exactly.
So, assuming you go through sexual abuse, which is one type of abuse, some children, like I said earlier, that is what they've grown out to know. So for them, they know sex is part of life. So if an elderly person molests them, the mind is programmed. The mind records it and see it as a normal pattern. So some people, it affects their mental processing, the way the mind works. So it becomes like the stature of the person who did the abuse, the complexion, the physical looks of the person, they can't resist. So when they see such people, sexual happened. Some will become normal. Any opposite sex, it's okay. So for them, they think they play with those organs. It's a normal thing. Some even end up interpreting it as, once somebody loves me, then that should happen. But it's sex love. Some also get angry and think they have to punish society. That's where they get into prostitution and all those things.
Okay. So it means that not all people we see on streets, the street workers, the prostitutes, we shouldn't be blaming them.
Yes.
Others are as a result of
these things.
Abuse.
So we have the sexual abuse, the child abuse when it comes to the sexual abuse. These are some of the effects. The physical one, they become how do I call it? Social deviant. So they can become armed robbers, just fighting here and there, not because they want to fight. If they want to fight, they could have gone to Bukom and make money out of it. But for them, that's a normal thing. We have people, when I have an issue with you, they won't even ask what has happened. They will just come and join in and fight. To them, that means they love me. That means they are caring, because that's what they've learned. Then the neglect. They grow up knowing that even if I don't take care of my child, it's okay, because my father didn't take care of me, my mother didn't take care of me. So I can just have a child, leave a child, you know, because that is what they've learned.
So a child, all these things happens to a child. Does it happen to the child when he or she is still a child, or in the growing up it also have any effect in their life too?
Okay, so we have the long-term effect,
Okay,
and the short-term effect.
About
So whatever the effect is, we have the psychological effect, emotional effect, physical effect, behavioral effect. Then we have the mental health, that is the health effect of these things.
Okay.
So come what may, it's a process.
Okay.
You see, human beings, we evolve, we are not static.
Exactly.
So at age 1, something happens, they don't even understand. So they cry and they are fine. Age 2, it happens. I handle a case where something happened between the senior brother of that lady and the father when the lady in question was at age 2. And at age 16, it manifested. Yes, age 2. And in Ghana, age 2, they are then a winning. These are how we neglect our children. So mother and father are fighting. It's not a child's beef, but the child stands there, hear all the words, see all the actions. I also had a child, she was 14, and then she's incident was even before birth. But whilst being in the womb, there was abuse, physical abuse. The father abused the mother, all kind of any of the styles. And this girl was born, growing as a toddler. She was aggressive. You see the effect of the abuse. You see, when a child is in the womb, they hear, they feel, they sense. That's why they move. So you can talk to your baby in there. How are you today? And the baby will respond, even though they don't understand. They react to the sound and the feelings. And you think you are insulting the mother is crying, and it doesn't have any effect. It does. As they grow, it will manifest. In that, at certain point, it's recorded. Just that they don't understand. They can't make sense out of it. But as they progress, they make meanings out of things that they saw, they heard. So now the child is now making sense. This is why my father slapped my big brother. So it's possible he will slap me too. If I do that. So either the person becomes timid, which is behavioral, or the person decide not to speak. So there are some people, they speak all right, but when you question them, they find it difficult to put their thoughts together. Not because they don't have the answer. They are afraid. Especially those who scream at everybody at home. So I don't know what I would say that they will scream at me. So I better keep quiet. We have diseases that people have as a result of child abuse, like diabetes, high blood pressure, and all those heart attacks. And
how are these connected to?
Yes, because all these things happening affect your emotions, affect your psyche. So how you perceive your world is affected. How you eat is affected. We have some homes, they would tell you what to eat at what point. how to eat it.
Isn't that a good training?
It's a good training, but when you overdo it, you see the line is under or over. Our children are young, but there are times you have to give them, especially the 21st century child, give them room to also bring up their ideas. Let them give them the opportunity to also comment. Sometimes even your looks, how do I look in this dress? Give them that chance. They feel belong, they feel part. But where they are neglected, like the Ghanaian culture say, the child must be seen and not be heard. A time will come that you need the child to comment, but you've trained the child to be seen and not to be heard. So even the attention deficit. They don't know when to pay attention, when not to. I was talking to this young girl. She would say everything. I said, you know something? It isn't everything that you see you have to say something. There are things you see you have to speak. There are others too you just have to watch. Then I was in a taxi with her and something happened. I was expecting her to say something. She didn't say anything. So I asked, why didn't you say something when this up? Mommy, you said I should watch some of the things. So she has chosen what to watch. So you guide. But you don't over. There are times children misbehave in public that you need to spank them or do something. But you have to respect how the child will take it. So you, the adult raising the child, have to be disciplined.
Exactly.
And work on your emotions. You don't correct a child with emotions. You don't correct a child in anger. That is where it will tend to be abused. But some people are just abusive, regardless of anger or whatever. That is their style. Like I'm saying, they grew up knowing this is it.
Yeah.
And our socialization also comes in. So you were raised that when a man speaks, a woman mustn't. And you are now married. You were told when you were a child.
You're going to transfer it into your marriage.
Regardless of some people struggle to even edit these decisions, regardless of the educational level.
It's part of you.
That's it. So we have to.
Viewers, we're having a conversation on effect of child abuse, and she's just telling us about things that we should be watchful, things that the effects of whether psychological, emotional, physical. I'll go for this break. When we return, I have a few questions to ask on the effect of child abuse. It is something that we need to understand. It's something that you and I need to get to grasp it, so that at least we're going to help people around us, people that we see, people that we live with, people that we always engage in our churches. And I think that it will do us good. Please don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
I am an angel of hope.
I'm an angel of hope.
Ubrenio, so do Sika a Baba Boho channel. No, so ya sene, yet me the mere some a cook main she saw in Choromina, Wadaroma, Fahmain, Nafa Sika Fasubi, na also Fabra, Yanko Kanyamsem, and ya cra a wonqua. Star 928 star 34 star 104 hash. And I say 0249 193083. Hope channel, yes, it's Sabrabo. Hope channel, yeah, Gia Cranomqua.
Hi, welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for staying, and thank you so much for sharing the link. Thank you so much for letting someone also get onto the video to also educate himself or herself when it comes to child abuse, the effect of child abuse. I'm here with Justina. We are into it. I wouldn't want to talk much, and as the show or the program is Wounds of the Heart. So, Tina, we left off by when you were still talking about the effect of child abuse. But with all these effects, what happens to a child who had in the future, or the child who has suffered abuse as growing up? What do we see socially, physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically? What do we see on this child, so that at least if a friend is behaving some way, we may also know that probably when he or she was young, he or she suffered abuse, so we have way to help, or we just call the number to help. So what will we see? What will happen to a child who has been abused in the future? Yes.
So like I was saying, we have the physical effect. No, mostly I don't want to stress on that because it's visible. You can easily see. Like I said, the way the child is dressed up, the behavior, you see bruises. Always that child is having sores at certain questionable parts of the body. That one is visible. But the concentration is on the psychological, because it goes a long way to affect the other aspects of the child's life. So the psychological issues can lead to even medical conditions. You see. So I will start by saying that psychologically, the person grow up to become timid or having low self-esteem.
Okay.
And they are prone to depression and anxiety, which is a mental health issue.
The child becomes timid when he grows up. The adult becomes timid.
Low self-esteem.
Giving the person the chance, probably in the church, there are people, when you call them to come and perform a role, they will tell you, no.
Oh, that is even too far. Low self-esteem starts even from within. The person don't see him or herself as somebody with value. So the person always think I'm worthless. Nothing look good on me. Myself, I don't look good. So it starts with the physique. It starts with whatever the person wears. So they don't wear. That's why some people say, I'm now too fat, and for that reason I can't. Who said you are fat and you can't look good? But because of certain things that has been said to him or her over the years, growing up, I feel like I can't do anything. There's nothing good in me. So I won't even start. So the person can school, graduate, and still thinks I can't do anything.
So friends, if you have a friend who is experiencing this low self-esteem thing, and I miss your circle, he or she always wants to step back. She doesn't want to prove herself as who she really is. I think that person had experienced or had gone through abuse when he or she was growing up. And these are the things you and I need to understand, so that when we see it around, we may seek help for our friend. If he or she think she doesn't need help, or if he or she think it's nothing, because we are learning, we got to understand the fact that person needs help. He needs your help. He needs my help. So the child, that person growing up becomes low self-esteem, and it's difficult, especially when they look at themselves, but they shame themselves, thinking that they don't belong. Is that all the low self-esteem? But
even as a child, it affects the academic performance at school. So teachers should look out for some kids. No matter what you are teaching, they're having difficulty learning it. Sometimes it's not the things that are running through their minds doesn't give them the chance to pick new information. After all, me, I'm nobody. What do I have to learn for? So it affects their performance. Some, you will notice it becomes a sign as well. You notice that they are doing well, but all of a sudden they come down. Either they are coming to school late or leave school earlier than they are supposed to. They come to school, they won't even stay in the classroom and do other things. There's something fishy happening. And then they can't also form and maintain relationship. It's with childhood growing up. So you see that in the class, it's natural Even the extreme introvert has a friend. But this one, today this is the friend, the next day, I don't want to be a friend again. You know, one, they don't see the need to keep relationship. They don't know how to maintain it because they've been made to feel it's not necessary. They don't trust anybody. I know somebody who says, if my parents cannot love me, who else can love me? So how would a person maintain a relationship, to maintain a marriage? So some grow up having the will to do, but they don't have what it takes to maintain it. So I want to have a relationship. I start and I slap her, I insult her, and the person leaves. And I don't even see I'm doing something that is causing all this relationship. I'm saying this so that those handling relationships should pay attention, because this guy, and especially in our culture, men can do whatever pleases them, in quotes, in relationships, at home, and we don't see anything. Some of these things started from childhood. So then they insult you, and they go their way and expecting you to think it's normal, because to them it's normal, and you can't take it. So if you are a friend to such a person, you don't feel comfortable being with the person, so you will withdraw. They also feel social isolation. They feel people don't like them.
Social isolation when they are in their age.
They're growing up.
But with what you just said before, social isolation. A lady in a relationship, as you're saying, a lady may say that there may be or come there maybe actually make me feel. Is it possible that lady had gone through something when?
Yes, all the kinds of abuse I mentioned, physical, neglect, sexual, emotional, so any of them or both. It could be all of them. So they don't see why we have to sit and talk about issues, because growing up where they grew up, they don't sit and talk about issues. All that they do is to slap and throw things.
Exactly.
So for me, once you provoke me, I dismantle everything around me, and that's what I know. I don't see, you see, the whole thing is because they grew up with it, they don't see anything wrong with it.
That, okay.
For them to even make amends, except a loved one draw closer, have the patience. I'm using the word patient because it becomes a behavior pattern. So just telling the person, I don't see anything, I mean, so if I threw, we'll go and buy a new one.
Exactly.
So you see that even financially it will affect them.
Exactly.
But it takes somebody to help them. That's why we have in this program.
Exactly.
So you can have friends advising and talking to you, but there's a professional way to tackle this.
Exactly. So
it's just an abuse, but you see how it's affecting the person's entire life. Because I think this is how it's supposed to be. I think this is it. I feel, you see, the way we think affect the way we feel. The way we feel affect the way we act. Until today, I don't feel like talking to anybody, because that is how I saw my mother. That's how I saw my dad treating my mother. And you are in class, your teacher, you won't mind. And these can lead to depression, because at a point you feel nobody loves you. You feel you're alone.
Okay.
You see how the mental health aspect pops up.
I don't know, but you see, viewers, you are watching this, and we are just educating ourselves to help other people who are going through this issue. You may think that but it didn't start from us. You've seen that person. It started way back when the person was little. He or she may have gone through a lot of things that he or she couldn't get help when she was growing up. But now it is having a toll in his life or her life. And you can see a prominent guy who is working well but has no friends around him. You can see a lady who is so beautiful but still tell herself that she's not beautiful, no one likes her, no one. But aside that, and can I say, is it rare? Is it okay? Is it normal in these people for them to be thinking about suicide?
Yes, it's very, very common among them. You see how I went about it, how behavior is formed. They form attachment and they have social difficulty. They cannot maintain relationship.
Exactly.
Everything that they do, they think somebody will comment. Sometimes it's perceived. And you see our brain, the body, cannot differentiate between perceived threat and threat. So once you feed yourself, once you start telling yourself, the mind speak it that I'm going to church, my dress isn't nice, and people will say I don't look nice. The body accepts that is what is happening and provide the hormones to fight it. So you met a friend who looked at you from a distance and you started concluding,
So, okay.
she's coming to comment badly about my dress. Why not the positive one? Because you can comment positively about my outfit. But how the person grew up was always the negative. There was nothing growing up the person ever did right. So every comment is negative. Even before the comment land, that is the perception of the person because of the attachment they formed, because of the behavior they formed, because of the way they interpret the world around us. So they always quarreling, fighting, bullying here and there. And everybody don't want to be their friend. Not that everybody don't want to be their friend. They think because I insult A, because I fought with B, because I stole this, because I did this. So now, why don't I even end it? They are prone to suicide. Just as you know, depression and suicide move together.
They are siblings.
So once I feel alone, which is a state of mind, that I am alone. If nobody likes me, then what am I doing in this life? Some will just contemplate, others will act it. It starts from age 2, age 1. I have I know a guy who have an anxiety disorder, and it's the way he was raised. He will tell you, my father will always scream at you. You should do, even at the age that they've grown, 40-something years, the father still want to scream at him. So through